Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of The Kat Myers Show. It is a YouTube podcast. We air every Wednesday at 7 a.m. I'm so excited to be here with you today. This is episode 13 weeks straight of The Kat Myers Show. And I want to thank each and every one of you who have subscribed, who've listened in. And if this is your first episode, welcome. We're so glad to have you. My name is Catherine Myers. I'm your host. This show is a legacy of my dad's radio show that ran over 20 years called The Voice of the People. His name was Dr. Kenneth Myers Sr. And the motto of his show was, I love you enough to tell you the truth, and I respect you enough to give you the facts. The motto or the theme of my show is to entertain you, to educate you, but most importantly, to empower you. And I do that through ideas and through the guests that I bring on the show. Today's guest is no different. We have Coach Andrew Lipman. He is from North Carolina, born and raised. He is a proud father of 2 adult sons. He is a life coach. His life motto is from dope to hope, and he'll tell his story of recovery today. I am so excited to have you, Andrew. Welcome to the Kat Myers Show.
Thank you for having me, Kat. It's a pleasure to finally be here.
Finally. I cannot emphasize that enough. I am so grateful for you. I'm grateful for the grace that you've shown me and getting my podcast up and running.
Well, I mean, that's what it's all about, is learning to show people grace. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a lot more patient man than what I used to be, too. So, yeah.
Wow.
But I'm definitely glad to be here.
Yes. And I know I told you this offline, but even when we were in school together, getting certified to be health and life coaches, and we paired up together to work on assignments, you were even super gracious with me then, too. So I just want all the listeners to hear that I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, too. It goes both ways, Kat.
Yes, well, good. Well, Andrew, I've told the listeners a little bit about you, but do you want to add anything to that?
A recovering addict for 14 years. Like, after a 14-year battle with crystal meth, I've been clean for almost 20 months now. One of the main reasons that I got into and signed up for the Health and Life Coach certification class was because I'm living proof that you can change, but you have to want it. You have to be willing to put in the work, and you have to actually put in the work. There's no shortcuts on anything. You have to be willing to dig your heels in and to really get your hands dirty and not be afraid of all the tough times ahead of you. But if you do that and you stay the course, it's very, very worth it. And I look forward to being able, now that I'm a certified health and life coach, I look forward to being able to help other people achieve long-lasting success and long-lasting change in their lives as well.
But I know that in this short time we have together, we're not going to be able to get, your entire story or all your stories, which I wish we could. Do you have a book or something out?
I could probably write one, and I probably actually need to do more things like this, which this is the first time I've been on a podcast, so I'm really honored to be here, to have this opportunity to be able to share a little bit of it, a little bit of my trials and tribulations and my path to recovery and everything. But like, I've shared my story 3 times, I think, in different recovery groups online on Facebook as well. And I'm actually going to Ascend Recovery that's in Charlotte, North Carolina, to share my testimony with the people that are in like IOP, in intensive outpatient therapy, and that live in the sober living houses there. So to share my story of hope and recovery and stuff there as well. So.
Oh, I love that. And I love the word testimony, right? It feels like a overcoming, a victory.
Well, that's exactly what it is. Like, I've turned all my tests and all of my failures and everything in my life, I've turned all that around, and I've done what you and I learned about in our health and life coach class about that whole reframe. I've learned to shift my mindset from being a victim to being a victor. It's no longer like, why me, Lord, why me? Why does this have to happen to me? It's why not me? All the trials and tribulations and everything that I've been through thus far in my life have prepared me for this season of triumph. I was built for this. I've been building myself for this, and I'm glad to be here, and I'm definitely here for it now. And whatever comes, bring it on, because I'm sure that I can handle it.
Yes. Now, of all the guests that I've had on so far, I've known them for years and years. But it was something about your spirit, seeing your post in our class, working with you, your positive attitude, your go get 'em attitude, your awesome transformation that really made me feel like I've known you for years. I just want to give the listeners a taste of that tonight. So let's get started with our first question.
All right.
So I love to ask all my guests this question. Could you tell us, do you remember when you fell in love with yourself?
That's actually been pretty recently, I guess. Sometime I would say it wasn't when I first got clean, which I first got clean in February of 2024. And for the first couple months, I would say at least the first 3 months after that, I was still really trying to figure out who I was or what. But like sometime early summer was one day I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, you know what, Andrew? You're a pretty good dude. I actually looked at myself and I loved the person that was staring back at me. And that's probably something that I've not, if I ever felt it in my life, it was probably back in high school
Yeah.
before I went through all the things that I've been through in my life that have taken me to some deep and dark places. For probably at least, the last decade, and I've really not liked or enjoyed the person staring back at me at all. Like there were times that I hated him. So not even a year and a half yet that I've actually looked at myself and said, "Hey, I love you, Andrew. Like you're a good dude."
That's awesome. Well, the next thing I wanted to ask you about is your self-care routine. But would you mind sharing with our listeners, are there some things that you do in your routine, whether it's weekly or monthly, that you just don't negotiate on or you don't give up on?
Um, I don't have time for anybody that is fueled by or lives for drama. Like I draw the line. Like there's a shirt that I have that I bought back a couple months ago, and on the back of it it says, "If it costs you your peace, it's too expensive."
Right.
That's one of my mantras that I try and live by, and that doesn't matter if it's a person, place, or a thing. If it costs me my peace, then then you can't be there. Like so, if it costs me my peace, then I can't hang out with you. And like I said, that doesn't matter if it's a person, place, or thing. I've cut off a lot of people, and I've lost a lot of people in my life that at some point in time I wanted them to stay around forever because of my lifestyle changes and everything, and getting clean and stuff. Like I have to leave all those people behind. So like to me, it really doesn't matter who comes or goes in my life anymore. You're not adding value to my life if you're not going to support me like I can support you, then I don't have any time for you. I enjoy going out on my daily walks. I do that every day as long as it's not pouring down rain or it's not like super freezing cold outside. But like even when it was like 95, 97 degrees and 95% humidity, like by 7 o'clock, you know what I'm saying? I was out there walking and it didn't matter if I got done and it looked like I just climbed out of a swimming pool or not. I have to get that in. And I can tell the difference like when I couldn't go on my walk for about 3 days, and I could tell a difference in my mental health because I wasn't outside getting that sunlight, getting that fresh air. That's definitely something that's non-negotiable too. Is my walks. I have to go do that. Like it doesn't have to be 5 miles a day, but as long as I'm out there for at least a good hour, then I feel that I've accomplished something that day.
Okay. And then you were talking about kind of being intentional about the energy that's around you and what energy you allow in your space.
Mhm.
I wanted to kind of shift to social media. And I just wanted to see if you could tell the listeners like what your relationship is to social media. Do you have any social media rules? How do you control what you're consuming?
I mean, that's something I really just go by feel pretty much. Like I should probably have better boundaries when it comes to social media because I can get carried away with doom scrolling as we all can with
Yeah.
the state of the world, especially with some of the terrible things that have happened in just the last couple of weeks or so,
Mhm.
with the school shooting with Charlie Kirk, um with uh with the Ukrainian girl in Charlotte, like
Yeah.
all these types of things. Like
Yeah.
heavy. Like the world is really heavy right now, and like there's just so much misinformation and propaganda and everything out there. Like it's hard not to get fired up and to get emotionally charged about it. I have to remind myself, and I have to tell myself this: like more than several times a day. Like just about every time I open up my phone and I'm scrolling, like I have to tell myself, look, Andrew, you're just one person. You're not
Okay.
going to change the world. And until the rest of us all figure out that it's, that we have more in common than we have differences. Like for all of us, until we realize that it's us versus them, then it's good versus evil, and it's not left versus right, red versus blue, and this, that, and the other. Until we realize that and come together, then nothing's going to change. Why get so upset and hot and fly off the handle about it? It's really out of my control, you know what I'm saying? And it's out of a lot of other people's control too. Why get your blood pressure and get yourself all riled up about it when you're just one person, and not just one person's going to, you're not going to be able to change the whole world, but I can change the world for myself and for those around me by the way that I carry myself and the way I handle myself. So, you know, I can tell, like, if I'm getting too down in the dumps about stuff, maybe you don't need to get on Facebook, or you don't need to get on Instagram as much today. Just kind of leave your phone down, just do your work, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And when I'm on my walk, leave my phone in my pocket unless somebody that I want to talk to is messaging me or something like that. But other than that, I try to be mindful of what's going on around me and my surroundings, and not so much involved in the social media world.
So I love it, and then I feel guilty, or then sometimes
Yeah.
I feel bad when I overindulge.
It's a double-edged sword, I think. Yeah, in more ways. Yeah.
Right. So I wrote a book called You Were Supposed to Love Me, which
Mm-hmm.
explores relationship failures for the most part. But I wanted you to kind of tell the listeners, what relationship advice would you give your younger self?
Red flags don't mean that it's a carnival. Really. Whenever you see the red flags, run the other way. That would have saved me a lot of heartache, a lot of headache, and a lot of grief if
That's
I
so
would have
much.
saw the red flags, and instead of me seeing the red flags and being like, oh, that looks like fun, or oh, that looks like a challenge or whatever, if I'd have left them waving in the wind and kept walking the other way, like, it would have saved me a lot of crap in my life. Like,
You've told us about how you've been almost 20 months clean.
hmm
You've told us about getting certified as a health and a life coach.
yes,
We talked offline about you also getting certified to be a recovery coach.
yes, ma'am.
Right. And so you have a website on the way. These are like very tangible things that you have accomplished. And so I
Yeah.
want to ask on behalf of the listeners, could you just give us a sneak peek into your process of achieving and setting goals? Is it like, I got a planner, I make New Year's resolutions, I put stickies on the wall? How do you make your goals like a reality?
I mean, I have the vision in my mind of what the bigger picture of what I want my life to look like in a year, in 3 years, 5 years. You hear successful people talk about you've got to make long-term plans, but you've also got to be willing to take the necessary steps, like every daily, weekly, monthly, to make sure that you're reaching those plans. As being an addict in recovery, when you're in addiction, part of that is being wrapped up in instant gratification, right? Because you're chasing that high, you're chasing the dragon. You get your dope and you get high, and your gratification is right then. You don't have to wait for anything. That's been the biggest thing for me these last 20 months, is learning that things take time. And it's frustrating because I've also realized in the last 20 months that I more than likely have more time behind me than I have in front of me.
What?
So that helps keep me motivated to continue going. Like, getting through the health and life coach class, that 6 months that it took, is the first thing that I've saw all the way through to the finish line and completed in well over a decade of my life. So that was definitely a big one there. And there were times that I faced a lot of imposter syndrome, like, is it going to do anything for you, blah, 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 kind of that stuff playing in your head. But you've got to tune out all that noise, and you've got to stay the course, because if you don't, then you're never going to know, like, what can happen and what's possible. So I've got that. So I've got the health and life coach certification now. I'm getting ready to sign up and take a class for a recovery coach certification. So then that way I can go work at some recovery centers and some other places and be able to help give back and to be able to help in my way. I feel like that's kind of a duty that I have since I've made it out to the other side, that it's my duty to go back to the fire and reach down and offer my hand to help pull the next person out. So that's something I want to do with that. And got the website on the way. I've also got some t-shirts and stuff that I'm getting made, that I'm waiting on back from the maker, actually. That's going to have my Dope to Hope logo on the front. All the proceeds are going to go, I'm going to keep in a separate bank account, and I'm going to donate it to places like Charlotte Rescue Mission, Ascend Recovery, and there's a detox place in Gastonia. There's Hesed House of Hope here in my hometown in Lincolnton, like to different homeless shelters and recovery centers in the immediate area as a way to be able to give back to the community that way too, to be able to be helping the next person, because that's going to pay for somebody's week of treatment or 2 weeks of treatment or whatever it might be. Because the more funding that these governments keep cutting to these programs, like the more they're going to be reliant on donations and things like that from private citizens and from fundraisers and things like that. And I think that's a really good way to do it. And I can talk about the Dope to Hope thing, because that's going to be Dope to Hope. That's my thing that I'm going to try and get going. It's just an acronym that I have come up with. DOPE stands for Drugs Over Personal Evolution, which is where I was at for a long time when I was stuck in those negative loops of addiction and everything. To Hope, which is helping other people evolve, which is now going to be my mission moving forward with my health and life coach certification and my recovery coach certification, as I continue that, to be able to help other people achieve long-lasting change and long-lasting success in their lives.
That's awesome, and I love hearing about the t-shirts. I love the plans of what to do with the proceeds. And I know the listeners are super impressed by hearing all this as well. Sometimes we can hear or we can think about what we're going to do, but you're actually doing it. So,
yeah. Yes, like I just try and take my steps, and like if I've got an opportunity to go to networking events and stuff, like we just had the overdose awareness day, like to go down and pass out my business cards and to meet and interact with people, putting myself out there and exposing myself out there to help further, somewhere down the line, like, these people might reach out to me, I might reach out to them, you know what I'm saying? So like I'm always looking for ways to kind of market myself and get myself exposure in these new environments, because I've been in manufacturing my entire life, and I want to kind of move away from that and get to something that's more fulfilling for my soul and for my, my heart and my soul, and not so much monetarily. If you can find something that you can join both of them together, like that's kind of what I'm after. Every other time I've jumped ship, like in the past, and now I look back because hindsight's 2020, and it's like, man, if you would have stayed the course with this, like this is what you could have right now. I see and I know where I can be in a year, in 3 years, in 5 years. I just have to be patient, which is something hard for me because I'm ADHD. And again, that instant gratification part is something that I still wrestle with, and it's hard, but it's going to be necessary for me to be patient and to just stay the course. If I do that, I know that the good things are going to come, and I know that my rewards are going to be there waiting for me.
Right. And just for me to get on my soapbox a little bit, I think once we set our goals and we set our intentions and we have things that we could be working on every day to achieve our goals, sometimes scrolling social media for 5 hours a day is not consistent with that.
No, it's really not. Like, for sure it's not.
You mentioned imposter syndrome earlier.
Yeah.
Right. So when we're trying to achieve our goals, it's not like, I love saying this phrase, it's not all peaches and cream. There's obstacles, right? There's financial obstacles. There's obstacles from people telling us no. There's, in the imposter syndrome, is the obstacle within ourselves. So,
for sure. I mean, I see where fear and doubt have gotten me this far in my life, and it's not been anywhere positive. It really, my fear and self-doubt and my lack of self-love and lack of discipline have taken me to some really dark places. I just play the tape forward is something that we say in recovery. If you're thinking about falling off the bandwagon, or if you have this self-doubt and things like that, play the tape forward, because you know how it ends up. I've seen where self-doubt and fear take me and it's not anywhere pretty, why not try something different? That's what I have to keep telling myself is that just because I'm afraid of like what might happen and things like that, or just because it doesn't seem like I'm making a lot of progress, like doesn't necessarily mean that. It's just that this is new territory. This is uncharted territory for me. So
Right.
like, and I've never been this person before. So I learned to give myself grace and just kind of just try and take it all in stride. Just be like Martin Lawrence on in Bad Boys 2, just woosah and just kind of let inhale the good shit, exhale the bullshit kind of thing, and just keep on keeping on, because at this point, what do I have to lose? Even if it don't work out in the long run, at least I tried, and I'll have all this wisdom and all this more life experience to add on to everything else. You just got to stick with it, regardless.
Well, I love what you said, kind of to the sentiment of, you just do your best. It might work out, it might not. Because I
Yeah,
think that's another thing. I hate to bring up social media again, but I
you're
think
good.
sometimes social media portrays that you get everything that you want, that every goal is accomplished, and that every dream comes true.
Yeah,
But reality is, some of our goals are bad ideas.
yeah, they are. They're bad ideas, or they don't always work out as you hope they would. And then also that social media is bad for people show you the highs and like the mountaintops. They don't show you all the valleys and stuff that they go through. I've tried this last year, so when I was going through imposter syndrome in like March, when we were in just starting the second session of our class, I had a really bad bout of that. Like, oh, Andrew, ain't nothing good gonna come out of this. You're not gonna do this, blah blah blah. I shared that, like talking about that, because that's real, and I don't want people just to see, oh, hey, look at me, hey, I'm a certified like, no, I want you to see, like, hey, I'm struggling with this, and this is how, and listen to you give myself pep talks like in real time, because it's not always sunshines and rainbows. Like sometimes it's freaking thunderstorms and lightning and stuff too. But through it, and I'm gonna steal Tupac's quote from Me Against the World, like where he says, "For every dark night, there's a bright day after that." And so no matter how hard it gets, keep your head up, stick your chest out, and handle it. That's really all you got to do. Just keep going. Don't matter if it's rainy, sunny, whatever. Keep going, because better days are coming.
Yes. I've heard you say, I've chosen to recover out loud. Could you tell
Yeah.
our listeners what that means?
Recovering out loud is like not because there's such a big stigma attached to being an addict, or if you're in recovery, and like, or if you're homeless, or if you suffer with mental health and things like that. Like, there's such a stigma attached to that. So like, when you recover out loud, when that's a saying that we have in the recovery community, what I'm saying? Like, it is when I recover out loud, I keep others from dying quietly, or from dying in silence.
Hold up.
Because by me recovering out loud and me sharing my testimony and me sharing my experiences and things and how I've overcome them, I am giving hope to the hopeless, and I'm giving hope to those that are still in the dark. By me recovering out loud, I am being like, it's like I'm going to their darkness and showing them a light and saying, hey, this way, what I'm saying, if you want a better life, this is how you do it. That's what
Right.
recover out loud means, is that you're not ashamed of being an addict. There's always that stigma, like, oh, you should be ashamed, you did this, you did that. Like, no, like, that's part of who made me into who I am, and I'm proud of who I am today. And like the first question, about when I love myself, when I was able to look in the mirror last year and I was able to be like, hey, I love you, despite of all of the things that you have done that haven't been great in your life. I still love you despite all that. And that's, being able to recover out loud and wear my shirts that I have and like go share my story and openly talk about it with people is a blessing to me. It's a blessing for others, because
You
I'm
know,
helping pave the way, just like other people paved the way for me. When I first got clean and I found these recovery groups online, like watching these people's videos and their testimonies and reading their raw truths of like their struggles and everything when they were first trying to get clean, like really gave me inspiration and motivation, like, hey, if they can do this, then I can do it too. And so that's why I recover out loud, because there might be somebody, you never know who's watching or who's listening to you. You know what I'm saying? by me sharing my story, somebody might hear that and they might be like, oh, I'm in a similar situation and this guy made it and he got clean. So maybe I can too. That's what it's all about.
That's awesome. I wanted to kind of shift gears for a little
Mm-hmm.
to kind of take us to a little bit of a heavy place, but a relatable place. And the reason I'm going to do that is because it's the month of September, and
Mm-hmm.
September is Suicide Awareness Month,
And
and
National Recovery Month, yes.
it's
And they,
National Recovery Month.
yes,
Okay, this
yeah,
is perfect timing.
yeah.
You've talked today, and you've mentioned several times being in dark places. And you haven't said it live, but we've talked about at least one experience where you didn't want to live anymore. And so for those who are listening and who have experienced that, could you kind of share some resources that you had or some thoughts that pulled you out of that space?
There were times before I got clean, the last couple months before when I got clean last February, there were a lot of instances to where I figured I would be better off if I wasn't here anymore. I figured both of my boys would be better off if I wasn't here anymore because they wouldn't have to see me suffer and struggle the way I was. And there were more than a couple handfuls of times that I would be riding up and down the highway and going like 100 miles an hour and thinking about jerking that wheel and just wrapping my car into a bridge column. Or there were times that I would be sitting there rolling my bowl and just hoping that hit was going to be the hit that got me so high my heart would just explode or something like that. Because I was at the point to where I didn't care. Like I really didn't want to be here. I didn't see the point. I'd kind of accepted the fact that I was going to die an addict.
Wow.
And just the only thing that kept me from really wrapping my car around the bridge column is the picture in my mind of the looks on both my sons' faces and when they heard the news about that. And the reason that I got clean is because fentanyl's in everything now. It's even in marijuana. You know what I'm saying? And so it's everywhere. And I knew that I was playing, every time that I went and got a bag, like I was playing a game of Russian roulette basically. And it was like, how many more times are you going to go, Andrew, before you're going to get a bag and you're going to be at home, you're going to be getting high, and your stuff's going to be cut with fentanyl, and then your kids are going to come home and find you dead on the floor. Is that really how you want to go out? No, I don't. And the more I thought about it, the more it was. And when I got my clean break last February, I knew like that was it. That was the Lord telling me, hey, you need to stop. This is your chance. I kind of played the tape forward, and I saw what was going to happen if I didn't stop. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that if I didn't stop last February and get clean, that I wouldn't be sitting here sharing this with you right now. I can guarantee you that without a shadow of a doubt, because that's what I have seen, like in my dreams and everything. Like looking back, like if you didn't get clean, Andrew, you would be dead right now.
That's powerful.
And it's scary to think about. And there's also some survivor's guilt, I guess, a little bit too, because I really shouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now either. Honestly, I could have been dead more than several times over, but for whatever reason, I'm still here. And then obviously, the good Lord is going to use me to do other bigger and better things here on this earth. I'm just trying to take advantage of it and just take it one day at a time. And like we were talking earlier, it's not always sunshine and rainbows. So you just got to kind of just keep rolling with it. Today might be a bad day, but you go to bed with the hope that the next day is going to be better, and you wake up and just ready to face a new day. I don't wake up anymore like, oh God, I got to go to work, or I've got to do this. It's not it's not I have to. It's I get to get up and go to work today. I get to go on my walk every afternoon. I get to go hang out with my son before he goes to work. I get to go share my testimony on the Cat Myers show. I get to go to a recovery and share my testimony, and I get to do all these things. And it shifting the mindset to being more grateful for things like the attitude of gratitude, like that, like it's really a great place to be, and it'll bring you out of some dark places too, because no matter if you look at all the things that you don't have, you're never going to be satisfied. But if you start looking at all the things you do have, and the smaller you can break those things down to, you're gonna, like that should change your attitude like really quick. Like, and that's a thing that I've told my practice client, and that I tell both my boys too. You if you look at what you have and what you don't have, like, oh, I don't have this, or I don't have the best Xbox, or I don't have the nicest car, blah blah blah. Even when you get that stuff, you're still not going to be fulfilled. But like, if you look around and make a list of things that you're grateful for right now, and like do that every day, and like every day list, 5 new things, like every day, like within 2 weeks, and you're going to have a pretty long list of things that you're grateful for, and like things that you don't even really think about. A lot of stuff we take for granted, like being able to see, taste, hear, and like being able to walk every day. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people that ain't able to walk, that are confined to wheelchairs and things like that, or people that are bedridden or whatever. Even though my back and my knees hurt every day, like I can still get up and go to work, and I can go do all these things. Like, a lot of people can't.
Well, I'm so grateful, and I know the listeners are so grateful for just like your transparency and you being a living testimony. Like I told you this before, like people love a transformation story. They
do.
love, those weight loss, transformations. People love somebody who has a great come up story, like in sports. They love the underdog that wins, And I feel like that's kind of how your life is. Like you went from being addicted to crystal meth. So, Coach Andrew, thank you again for being on the show today. You've given us so many nuggets, and I know you have so many more to give. If someone listening wanted to contact you, get in touch with you, learn more about you, how would they be able to reach you?
My website is www.dope2hope.net. So dope2hope.net. And it'll be up and running by the end of the week. I've still got some little tweaks and adjustments and things I need to get worked out with that. But it'll be up and running by the end of the week. Other than that, you can look me up on Instagram, Andrew.Lidman84, I think, or just search for Andrew Lipman. That's Lidman. And it'll come up. And same thing on Facebook. You can send me a message request, and I'll answer back to you. I'm also working on, like I mentioned about the T-shirts earlier, I'm also doing a Shopify storefront I'm trying to get up and going also, and that'll be under Dope to Hope also, so you can find that there. And I should have the shirts by the first week of October, and they're all black. They've got the Dope Hope logo on the front left pocket, and on the back they say "I'm here for it," which is one of my slogans. And to me, the description of that is like, I'm here for it. That means that, like, that's about being mindful and living in the present moment. Like saying I'm here for it means I'm here for it, like whatever is in front of me right here, right now. Like I'm not anxious about the future. I'm not depressed or beat myself up about things in the past.
Awesome. Well, this has been episode 13, the next to last episode of season 1 of the Kat Myers Show, with a very special guest, Coach Andrew Lipman. You've heard how to reach him on social media, on his website. You can come back and listen to this episode as many times as you need to get that information.
Yes.
And I just want to say thank you again to all the listeners for listening in. There's so many things we could all be doing, so many things competing for our time, including social media. And maybe YouTube is social media. But we thank you for joining us for this special episode. We're going to close out with the words from Andrew himself. If anyone happens to be listening to this episode today and they happen to be recovering from a drug or alcohol addiction, as someone who's been almost 20 months clean, is there any message that you would like to give to them?
I mean, just hang in there. When you're first getting clean, or you're first trying to like get out of these dark spaces and stuff, like it seems like it's not going to be worth it. As somebody who's almost 20 months clean, I used to think that too whenever I was first getting clean. I was like, is this even going to be worth it? Because it's hard. And the dark, like when you're stuck in addiction, it's hard enough. When you get clean and you start having to deal with all of these emotions and everything sober and clear minded, it's really, really overwhelming. I'm not going to lie to you about that. But if you can see through it and you allow yourself to feel these feelings and, go through all the motions, whether it's crying, bawling your eyes out, screaming, angry, mad, go through those motions and get all that stuff out of it. Because when you're addicted and you're in that dark place, you're numbing something or a lot of things, and and you're running from all this stuff and you're suppressing it, pushing it down and everything. All that stuff comes up and you've got to feel it. You've got to go through the motions. You've got to feel it. You might think that it's not going to get better, but it really does. If you stay the course, you're going to see. It might take you a month. It might take you 2 or 3 months or whatever. It depends what you're trying to recover from and get clean from. One day you're going to turn around and look back and you're going to be like, I'm glad that I decided to stick with it. The windshield's always bigger than the rearview mirror because where you're headed is always so much more important and so much better than what's behind you. And kind of keep that in mind. If recovery wasn't as good as we talk it up to be, trust me, none of us would be here. You know what I mean? So like we would be back in addiction and back ruining our lives and everything like that. Recovery is really beautiful. Give it a chance. I'm not going to beg you, but I'm going to highly encourage you and say, please just stick with it and see it through. Won't be disappointed, I promise you.
Awesome. I'm going to end with good morning, good night, whatever it is for you. We appreciate you listening in to the Cat Myers Show. We want to again thank Coach Andrew for blessing the Cat Myers Show and blessing the microphone.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Yes, me too.